Done by Noon podcast, episode number 30. Today we're going to talk about how to create a family mission statement.
You're listening to the Done by Noon podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who want to achieve more by noon than others in a full day. Serial entrepreneur Dave Ruel and his co-host Chris Lopez share the strategies that will help you optimize your productivity, performance, and lifestyle so you can reach new heights in your business and life. So if you're ready to become the most efficient and effective entrepreneur you know, you're in the right place. Welcome to the show.
This episode is brought to you by the Done by Noon book, the ultimate guide to achieve more by noon than other entrepreneurs in a full day. As a listener of the Done by Noon podcast, you can grab a free copy of the book at www.donebynoonpodcast.com/free book. But hurry, we've only printed a few thousand copies of this book, and when they are gone, they're gone. Once again, you can claim your free copy of the Done by Noon book at www.donebynoonpodcast.com/free book. Now, back to Dave and Chris.
Dave and Chris and Rozanne, who's back.
Hello.
A new crowd favorite. Everybody wants Rozanne back on the podcast. Nobody cares about us, Chris. I think our career is threatened right now.
Yeah, she kind of stole the show on the last one, huh?
Gosh, Rozanne.
Oh, you guys are funny.
Every day, this is what I live with.
Yeah, stealing the show. I know. I live with. That's what that just hit me, Chris. I mean, except for Q, we just live with many women.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, we're a minority. Maybe that's why we're, I would say, good husbands.
Could be. Yeah. I think so, yeah. I think that says a lot. We're meant to be the father of daughters.
I like how secure you guys are in yourselves. Good.
Okay, so now Rozanne's going to call us on our bullshit.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
No, you guys are amazing. Amazing fathers, amazing husbands. I know that for a fact.
Thank you. You're being polite, but that's
yes, it is your podcast, Dave.
What did you say?
Because it is your podcast. So yeah, I'm being a nice guest.
Thank you. People will still want you back. You can say whatever. It's fine. I'm listening to our listeners. We're going to talk about a family mission statement. So, I said it before, and I'll always say it. I mean, you guys have been, for Corinne and I anyway, even before we built a family together, you were our inspiration, to build a family. We're like, if we're going to have kids, we want our kids to be like the Lopez kids. And, if we can have a marriage like, Chris and Rozanne, then even if it's half as good, we're going to be in business.
Takes work. We're going to spill the beans today. We're going to pull the curtain back today.
I know, but there's a few things that you guys are doing well. One thing is the family mission statement, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So how did that? What's the origins of that? Like when you guys started with a family mission statement?
You go first.
I think it came at probably, if I'm going to think back, at a time where I was probably feeling overwhelmed with having had the fifth child. And we had so many commitments. Chris was working so many jobs. We were not even thinking homeschooling yet, but the kids were in two different schools, running around, and I was just kind of losing what was important to us. We were thinking of moving. We weren't sure. There was a whole host of just questions about where our family was headed. And I think Chris and I took some time to just sit and talk about what was really important for us and what was essential. And it turned into this kind of statement about who we are as a family, what we wanted. And through the years, we brought the kids into it. We've involved them in helping us, reviewing our mission statement and asking them what they thought, what should we add, what do they feel is really part of our family culture, what they love about our family. So that's kind of where it began.
From
So
what I remember,
you
sorry,
involved the
Dave.
kids in the process. No, sorry.
Later, they were super little when we started, but now, yeah, as they've gotten older.
From what I remember, the family mission statement, a lot of it, I mean, for me, and we'll get a little bit into this, but from what I remember, it was around 2009. And if we remember back then, I was making the decision as to whether or not to go online full time or to continue my personal training business and my coaching business. Like it was one of those things. And I think the mission statement really helped me um, focus on what it was that was important. And then I ended up making that transition and that change. So that's how I remember the time when we were constructing this thing.
So how did that go? Like, so you were in a time of, I would say chaos, but you had the like kid number 5,
Yep.
and you were like, were you feel like you were in a period of like something needed to change or be crystallized, or how? What was the? I'm trying to understand, like, what was the mental
Right.
or the mindset like behind it?
Well, it was, for example, we had to make decisions on, gifts. It was little things like this. When you have 5, every decision becomes overwhelming because it's just multiples of 5 at that point. Or, when we have to decide, we're a one income family. What are we doing with any little extra money we have? And this child wants to do this program, but maybe we want to travel, or we're saving up for another car. Do we, we're going to upgrade our car. You have a finite amount of time, energy, and money in a certain moment, and you have to make a decision of what you're going to do with it. Or we're invited to a birthday party, and I also have a commitment to go see my mom. So which one do we go to? Do we fit everything in one day? Or is there one that's more of a priority? So every little decision like that, with how we decide to move as a family and our decisions, was overwhelming, because it's like, I don't know. What do you think? And so everything became just short term in the moment. Yeah, sure, buy that. Yeah, sure, let's go. And then you're in this moment of, what are we doing again? Why are we doing this? Why am I here? Why did we decide to do this? Um, and so that's where it was. It was this. We were living our life ad hoc, just because of the sheer volume of children, which just, your interactions with everyone in the household just exponentially grows after you add another person, and all of the commitments that you have. So that was kind of the motivation for sitting down and really understanding what was important, so that we could make decisions based on what was important, truly important to us.
It was like playing whack-a-mole, and we were just getting sick of it. So we needed something to help guide us in our decisions. And so we had to sit down and really come to an agreement about what it was that we valued. And based on those values, that's how we made our decisions as a family.
You feel like that was at a time where actually you needed to do that for you, but also for your business, like where like the life and business need to merge in some ways to make kind of a cohesive unit.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, for sure. Because we, like, you know as well as anybody that our businesses are interwoven into our lives. Like, we run what many people would consider lifestyle businesses. And I remember you and I were talking about this early on in an early podcast, where we created businesses to support our life. And so we still wanted life. It wasn't so much about us having the business revolve, or having our lives revolve around our business and catering to that. At least it wasn't for me. Like, I always wanted the ability to travel. I always wanted, freedom of location and have autonomy and everything. And that's why this mission statement really helped me in guiding. Like, it was almost like the guiding star in terms of the direction that both life and business was going to take.
So did you, when you decided to do that, like was there a predetermined process to go through it, or do you have a specific questions you ask yourself? Like, guide me through a little bit, like the process you guys went through.
So I'm really big on just in general journaling and reflection and gratitude. And so, and also I'm like, I like collecting data. I like monitoring what's happening with my family and what works and what doesn't. For me, being efficient with 5 kids was the only thing that kept my sanity, was how do we make things most efficient? And so the big thing was, okay, sitting down and saying what works and what doesn't. What works? Okay. When do I feel good? And when do I feel overwhelmed, anxious, stressed, and I'm a monster at home? So it became this looking at ourselves and being honest with each other and going, okay, when you're like this, we know when we're in a rush to get somewhere, you don't like to be late. So therefore you're crazy. I'm a crazy lady when, I'm getting the kids ready. We have to be somewhere on time. And so, okay. So it was just understanding a little bit about who we are in that moment. What makes me happy? What makes me happy is not rushing in the morning. Okay. So what does that mean? It means I have to get up before the children. Okay. So it became this really amazing self-awareness process and that started me getting up, and I have not since then really veered away from that, but getting up before the kids. So whether it's 4:30 in the morning or 5 in the morning, we're up, and so it's coming up with these little moments of like, okay, when do we feel our best, and how do we create a day, or create a life that makes us always feel our best, not just physically but emotionally, and so we listed those things. And so I know, looking at Chris's, it was a lot of physical care. It was physical self-care. It's getting his workouts in, getting enough sleep, eating well.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
that's not my priority. We're very different. I mean, I know it does make me feel good. I just won't put it maybe as high as a priority as him. But for me, on the other hand, being creative is very important. Like doing some artwork or writing or some type of, activity that is full on creative is huge for me, and learning. I mean, that's also Chris too. But if Chris doesn't get enough sleep, it's awful. It's awful. And or if he doesn't get a workout in, it's brutal. Where I miss a workout, I'm okay. I'm be fine.
I need my beauty sleep, Dave.
Yeah.
But you
So,
feel like, no, go ahead, Chris.
well, I was just going to say, so a lot of it was Rozanne and I sitting down at first, not involving the kids, and determining what it was that was important to us.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about process, then we would get that down on paper, and it was like, okay, what's important to you? What's important to me? And we'd each have it, and then we compare our list. And there's a little bit of negotiation involved in when we're creating this, but for the most part, it was understanding what each other needs to feel, as Rozanne said, our best, and then using that to guide us in terms of writing the mission statement. And then after that, we thought about, okay, what would our best life as a family be, and what would that look like? And then kind of remember when she was talking, like in our previous podcast, we talked about homeschooling and talking about reverse engineering what you want a 21 or 22-year-old to feel or to be like when they go out into the world. And so for us, it was kind of the same thing. It was, what do we want our life to look like if we're living our best life? And then reverse engineering that process into figuring out what we need to do now, 5 years before, 10 years before, whatever.
So were they like, at that point you made you both lists of, okay, what makes you happy, what fulfills you, how you see your life. You compare the notes. From there, what do? Do you set up like some kind of non-negotiables or some kind of not to-do list? How does that work? Like,
Yeah,
what's the next step?
definitely non-negotiables. There's definitely non-negotiables. And then it's this conversation about, okay, we were operating on, we have kids in competitive sports, we have kids with programs, kids in different schools. I had volunteer obligations at the kids' schools, and then our weekends were jam-packed. And so we clearly saw, like, okay, a non-negotiable then for us should be, we need one day we're home the whole day. We're not leaving the house.
Yeah.
Because we saw our calendar, and it would just give us anxiety. It was just, we have to be here and then there and bring the kids here. And, but even back then there was FOMO, right?
Yep.
There's so many cool things going on in the city of Toronto, right? There's always some type of street festival or kids, free kids program at a library on a Saturday with, a great puppet show. You could sign your life up all day, every day, with really cool programs. So in order to weed through all that, first we dedicated the day, one day off, and then also once we figured out, okay, this is what we value or this is the types of things we want, then we can just schedule in the right things that really fit our family, and not just because we were afraid to miss out on a cool birthday party or whatever. So yeah, after we figured out our non-negotiables, which was definitely one day off, definitely taking care of exercise, like scheduling exercise in. So after you clear the calendar, you put in your non-negotiables in first, like the things that you definitely need during the week that need to get done for either of us that fulfill us, whether it's a daily routine or it's actually putting in the workout routine. Like I would tell Chris, I need 3 days a week working out 15 minutes each max, because I can't do more than 15 with small children running around that I need to look after. And I need to do it in a 10 foot by 10 foot space because we have a small house and I need to see them. I can't go off in the basement or run somewhere. I need to be with the kids. And so, giving him those parameters, it was great, because then it was like, okay, so that's what this mission statement is. It's just giving these parameters that this is what we need to work with. And that's all we commit to right now, because we need boundaries with our time, energy, and money.
What are the things you had to kind of let go of?
I think a lot of external, not even commitments, but like a lot of events. We had to say no to we have big families. And so we found that we had to say no to a lot of family events, like the foundational events, Christmas, Easter. Both of our families are very Roman Catholic. So, we always celebrate those. Easter was always a big one. Thanksgiving, we would do, but I mean, when you have such a big family, you've got birthday parties every weekend, like literally every weekend. And then when there isn't a weekend, AJ was really big at the time in competitive sports. And so we would have volleyball tournaments every single weekend as well. So there was always things that we would have to say no to. And a lot of it was just, I don't want to call them frivolous, but like extraneous family events that we couldn't make. Or it was like Rozanne said, maybe we don't go to the Greek festival, but we go to the Korean festival this week. Or, maybe we do go to the Italian festival. We say no to the dragon festival that's going on. So it was picking and choosing what was going on. But basically, saying no to a lot of things.
And for the first little while, we had to adjust the mission statement as we went along, because there were things that we didn't anticipate, right? So Christmas is coming and all the grandparents are wondering what they get the kids. And if we don't tell them what to get them, then they get them, bullshit toys and crap that end up sitting in the corner. So it was really being intentional about it. Okay, at first it's like, okay, well, they need clothes. And then Chris and I are like, okay, no, let's really be intentional about what we want for our children, stuff or experiences, right? Or books. Now, it's no fun to give a kid a book for Christmas. But what we had started to ask our parents for were memberships. So we asked them for memberships to the zoo, like year-long memberships to the galleries, to the museums, to different fun outings. And the kids were so happy. It's like we get to go to a year to this museum anytime you want. Like, what? Oh my God, that's so great. So we actually shifted to putting the focus on gifts of experiences. And that included travel for us, giving gifts, putting aside money for travel and not for stuff anymore. So that totally shifted. That was an amazing priority we wrote down, because it made everything easier in terms of how do we, and then also the kids expected that. They knew they weren't going to have to, they weren't going to get stuff. They were going to get a book from us from Christmas. It was the same. You got a book from your parents or new pajamas for Christmas, and the grandparents bought experiences.
So that was one of the pillars, the foundational pillars of our mission statement, was valuing experiences over material things. And So as you can see, like as Rozanne said, like that guided us in terms of the decisions we made when the grandparents came to buy us gifts, when we were determining whether or not somebody needs, like a new wardrobe from the Gap, or if we're going to do a road trip for 2 weeks and, go to New York, or if we're going to travel to California and drive the highway one thing. I mean, that's more of an experience than a materialistic thing. And we would choose that over other stuff. So that was one of our foundational pillars.
So, well, because when I hear you talk about it, like what I hear is like you created pretty much like an SOP, like a playbook for your family in some ways, where
Yeah, I guess
this
so.
is
Yeah.
exactly how our family works, and we've made the decision, and this is what it is, and this is the parameters we're working with, and this is exactly how we want to operate. So was that like kind of building the SOP first, and then like, but my question is more like, then does that translate into like some kind of one paragraph mission statement, or like trying to understand like how's the Lopez family then like
Yeah.
continue focusing on the vision of, within all these parameters?
Yeah, it became it. Yeah, once you start to sort out all of these, the way you make decisions or how you make decisions, then you can just really sum it up with, 5 or 6 sentences or 6 things that are really integral, that really everything flows in and out of, right? Where we value relationships, right? We will take the time to foster relationships between the 7 of us in the household. And we were just talking about it with the kids. We were driving through a neighborhood here in the suburbs where my in-laws are, and at the time we were deciding whether, this was even before Q was born, deciding on buying this large home in the suburbs or in the city, which was like a quarter of the size, which we ended up buying, being in the city. And it was interesting to have all these discussions with the kids, the what ifs. What if we bought this large home, right? Everybody got their own bedroom, and, versus like what happened where you guys were all on top of each other. And there's pros and cons to it. But for the kids, because of our mission statement was relationships are so important with each other, the 7 of us. So through even just having that and even being on top of each other, we worked so much on how do we communicate, negotiate. And I think it was because of the smaller space that it was such a necessary thing, where I know we would have been close in a larger home if we had decided where every kid had the same room. But I think it became more urgent in the moment when we had Q, the 5th one, in a tiny 3-bedroom, 1,100 square foot house, that became a part, like, I don't know if that would have been so much in the forefront of our mission statement had it not been such a physical space issue with the kids all on top of each other. So they kind of worked out that way, that relationship. So yeah, it's as we moved along, we're like, oh yeah, definitely relationships, definitely experiences, physical health. So all of those things are in those 5 sentences that are important to us and that we value. So it's basically, yeah, a list of just overall values that everything weaves in and out of.
So you established that. Now, like, so after that, what you had to do is actually get the kids' buy-in into that mission statement, right? So how did that go? Like, we decided, okay, well, this is how we operate. You were probably, I would say, doing that organically in some ways, but how did that go when it comes to exposing that mission statement and onboarding, like, the kids into that mission statement?
Yeah, I remember having the discussion with them when we first moved to Costa Rica and we were figuring out our house. We were building the house. And because, we're building a house and we have to fit it to who we are at the time, right? That's like our dream, is to build a house that fits us, because we came from a house that didn't fit us anymore. And so who are we? And so when we told the kids, we said, actually, we do have a family mission statement, and this is what Daddy and I believe. And we believe in this culture of athleticism and physical fitness and movement and the arts and creativity and the love of learning. And we believe in experiences and relationships over material goods and things that become obsolete. We believe in love and forgiveness and trust and second chances. and that everybody makes mistakes and that failure is good. So we told them all these things, and they kind of looked at us like, oh,
That's why.
that's why we do what we do. Like, it was this amazing moment of like the light bulb in them. Like, oh, they had this now understanding of why we make the decisions that we do, why we decided to homeschool, why Chris does the work that he does, why we moved. It all made sense. It's like, oh. And so then we went through, okay, what do you guys think about that? And we're like, okay, yeah, we like this. And we ended up just keeping everything because it was so us already. Like, they already had, because we lived it. And Chris and I lived it on a personal basis. And even though when we have made this hard decision to move to Costa Rica, like, that was really difficult for them to understand. And the first year was really difficult. There was a lot of grieving. But now when they look at it, they're like, okay, yeah, mission statement, definitely, because it was such a learning process. It was such a huge process of relationship building and trust and growth. And we built our house that's like, it's a gym. It's really like, if you every time their friends come to our house, they go on the deck and they're hanging off the rings, they're hanging off the chin-up bar. There's a TRX always hanging. There's a row of kettlebells on the deck. Like,
There's a slide, right?
There's a slide.
Yeah, there's a slide.
There's an outdoor slide. It's meant for movement. It's meant for being outdoors and moving. And so it's just kind of, we look at our life, we're like, we really have built our life around this mission statement and the culture, the family culture that we've always wanted when the kids were little.
So I think when at the inception of the mission statement back in 2009, I don't think after Rozanne and I came up with these values and these things that we agreed to, I'm not 100% sure that we actually introduced it to the kids.
No.
I think we just started living it.
Yeah.
And we just made this. So there was a lot of us saying no and not explaining to the kids exactly why. It's just like, no, like, you're 6. I'm not going to give you a justification as to why. I'm dad and you're 6. So I'm just going to say no. And that's my decision. And I think a lot of it was that. And it wasn't until later on, now that I think of it, that we actually explain, okay, this is what we value and this is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
So it was.
And then the kids like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So then it kind of made sense. Like, for example, like one of the things where it was like with the whole screen time thing with our family, like Frankie's 15 now. Yeah. She just got her first phone last week.
Yeah.
Like, she's never had a cell phone or a mobile phone or any. She has an iPad that has no connection to the internet that she can do research on. Well, actually, when she's on Wi-Fi, and she's had that for a couple of years. But as far as her own personal device that she can use, she's 15. She only got it last week when I had to upgrade my phone. And I gave her my old one.
Yeah. So screen time goes under the umbrella of relationship building in the household. Because if you're on the screen all day, you're not going to interact with your siblings or your parents as much. So also relationship building, we've then instituted family dinner time. Family, we did something really revolutionary, is where we had the 7 of us sit for 2 meals a day together, breakfast and dinner, because Chris was home. So Chris could be home, he could cook breakfast and he cooks dinner. And we could all sit, and there's no rush because, again, we have built this life of homeschooling now where we could sit and have we build the relationships at breakfast and talk and have a slow morning. And then everybody cleans up and it's great. And then at dinner time as well, we have family dinner time where we all sit. And so that's built into that too. So once you have this kind of in your head, we need to build relationships. Well, if we don't have dinner together, we don't have meals together. Mm-hmm. If everybody's allowed on screens whenever they want, how is that aligned with that value? It's not. So then, of course, then it's easy to change. It's like, okay, this is then what's going to build relationships. If we talk, if we have dedicated time to talk, we turn off the screens at this time. We all cook together. We all eat together, and we still do that. I mean, AJ was with us in Costa Rica. She came in March and was there until we came here in October. And we did the same thing. It's like, even though she hasn't lived with us for 4 years, she just kind of, she slipped back in, no problem, making breakfast together, eating together, having amazing conversations at dinner. So we've had this, even when the kids were in the high chair, like trying to get out, I remember keep putting them in. I'm like, no, we're going to sit and eat together. And I remember it was this madness of, we couldn't really have family discussions because the kids were all over throwing food at each other. But I'm like, it's okay. We're just going to do this again tomorrow night. And it was this consistent sitting together and having dinner, even if kids were getting up, moving, doing this. I'm like, no, come sit again. We're going to have dinner. And then now it's, they're so used to it that they immediately come and sit at the table. And how was your day? Oh, what did you do today? Oh my gosh, did you have a challenge today? What did you? And this amazing conversation comes. It's just so organic. So that's kind of, once you come up with the really general values that you believe in, is so easy then to be more specific in how you craft your family culture.
Because it started as kind of a set of rules, and then it became a culture, if you want, when the kids really start to understand why. Like when the light bulbs lit up, they were like, okay,
right,
now I understand why, and now it's ingrained in the culture. So at first it felt like a set of rules in some ways, but then they really like embody it and becomes part of the family unit.
Yeah. For example, trust is a big thing in our family. So the biggest punishment you could get was to lie. So you could make mistakes. You could make the worst mistake. You could, AG started driving. She could ding the car. She could, whatever. It didn't matter to us as long as you told us.
Yeah.
As long as you were truthful and you were honest, it was okay. The moment you lie, right? That's it. It's like so difficult. So we kind of banked our biggest like disciplinary actions for the times that they lied. And since like the kids will tell you the 2 or 3 times they lied and it was huge. Like they remember it. They will tell that story all the time when they crossed that line, and I took like the biggest thing away from them, which was normally a trip, or the one time that they didn't get to eat dinner and they also had to be quarantined in a room till the next morning.
We put the 5 of them in one room because of a lie. And Q was still in diapers, so he was walking. He was a toddler, like a young toddler, so he would come out of the room to like breastfeed. Like he would walk out and breastfeed, and then we would put him back in with his sisters without dinner. And that was like 12 hours.
Yeah, they were crying, and I gave them water. I think they eventually found some like stale granola bars to eat. I said, you guys will live, but you need to talk about what you've done and why this is such a big deal. And I remember people were horrified that I did. I said, do you think they ever really did anything like that again? No, because we all remember that. They all remember that moment of like, she's really going to not feed us dinner. Oh my gosh. And then it was hard for Chris and I. I remember us be like, oh, we shouldn't do this. No, but we said we have to be consistent. And so we don't do that often. Like there's only really 3, and they'll tell you the 3 times that there have been, major consequences that they have to suffer as a unit. Siblings that, lie together, have to be punished together. They all cover.
Were they all lying all together, or was it like the actions of one of them and everybody got the consequences?
So when you have, 5 siblings homeschooling all day, they all know. So it's not like one person lies and they didn't know what happened. They know, somebody knows, somebody else knows. and I know, and then I'll have them all down, and I already know, I've already had the evidence of the lie, but they will continue to lie. And that's what's like, that will just put, us over the edge, because it's that trust. It's like, look, I'm even giving you an opportunity now to fess up about your original lie. And now you keep going. And then they all start in on the lie. And they have never lied in an individual way where the others haven't known. It's always a big lie. I mean, the white lies I've caught, they really fess up in the moment. Mom, sorry, I made a mistake. I don't know why I lied to you there. That was dumb. But there's been a couple of big ones where, for example, there was the lie, the most recent one, which hasn't happened. It was 4 years ago. We just moved to Costa Rica.
You'll appreciate this one,
Chris
Dave,
and
because
I,
we were here. We were at this.
Chris and I were busy building, right? There's building, and, I left work for them, lesson work, homeschool work for them to do. And the older sisters were there. We're going to be there with the younger ones to make sure that they do it and, whatever. And Chris and I had to keep running up to the job site to make sure the house is, getting built properly. And a neighbor says to me, she's like, every time you go, they take out the screens. I said, no. She's like, yeah. She's like, I know how you feel. I'm just telling you that I've just watched them. As soon as you guys leave, the screens come out. I'm like, oh no. Okay. So I ask, I'm like, so what you guys do when we leave? Oh, we played a board game and the kids did their work. And I said, that's it. Yep. No screens. Nope. And it was just because this had not just been a one-time thing. They had been consistently every time we have to go to the job site, they immediately sneak the screens. And at this point, you could ask me, and I guess I wasn't clear that they could always ask me if they wanted to go on the screens. And I would give them parameters, but I guess they just felt like they just needed to go on it anyway. So I caught them. I kept asking, and then I kept saying, and then I said, so if I go on that iPad or that computer and I check the history, I'm not going to find anything that I shouldn't find. And they just went blank because I don't think they knew that I could check the history on devices at that point. And then Q was so scared, he started to cry because he's maybe 6, 7 at this point. He's like, Mom, yes, we went on the screens and we did. And he just it just all fell out of his mouth.
He vomited everything.
He vomited the truth. It was hilarious. And the kids were like, angry with him, but mortified. And so at this time, we're getting ready for AJ and my dad to come visit us. And Chris has this friend, that Cologne surf camp. Do you want to say what?
Okay, so Dave, you remember? So Dave and I went to Cologne, the surf camp, right? You remember that? Of course you do. And you know how luxurious it was and how beautiful it was. Yep. And so Keel, the owner, had given me a call and said, we had a cancellation. So I can give it to you. Like the deposit's already been paid and it's a non-refundable deposit. So if you and your family are interested, I know you just moved to the country, I can give it to you for, like a really great price for all of your family to come.
And the dogs.
And so I was like, oh my God, yeah, for sure. We'll take it. Like, absolutely. And so we let the kids know about, I think it was a week before this incident. And it was because AJ was coming.
We didn't let them know.
Oh, we didn't let them know?
No. So this is what happened.
Okay, let Rozanne tell
we had set this up and we were going to tell the kids as a surprise that when AJ comes and my dad comes, we were going to take this week and go to the Pacific side and do this great surf camp and we could bring the dogs and all of this stuff. So before we could tell them that, this incident happened. So Dave, what did I do after they lied?
You told them like you're not going to go. You were to do that and you were not going to go?
Yep. And we didn't go. So they didn't know about it. And in that moment, I said, so we were going to go. Daddy had set this up, but now we're not because of this.
But this is after a week of me showing them pictures of you and I going, Dave, and what that looked like and the sunset.
Yeah, we were setting it up.
The infinity pool and
we were setting them up to tell them.
Not the cicadas, not the giant bugs or anything like that, but
yeah. I'm trying just to get these memories out of my brain. Thanks for remembering me this.
So it was painful, but I said, this is how much, we don't really punish them or give like harsh consequences for anything to them, really. Like, we're really chill. And, when they make a mistake, we try to fix it and help them. But the lying for me, it just breaks down relationships. And I needed them to know that for later on in life, that lying is such a deep wound and it's so much harder to mend and heal that scar. So after that, it's been, it's always like, remember that? Remember mom did that? Okay, let's just tell her. And so now they tell us, and it's not a big deal. I think they were afraid at this point. We were really stressed out about the build and letting us know and us getting angry. And I said, even if I get angry, it lasts 5 minutes. This is like, something that now we have to rebuild and I can't trust you with the devices. I can't trust you being home alone now. And, all of these things. So it brought this up, but we, again, going back to our mission statement, because trust is so big, we had to have this kind of exclamation point when a trust is broken.
Just the one thing on trust. I mean, we're talking about the consequences a lot, but I think it needs to be mentioned that Rozanne and I have built a family culture whereby it's a safe environment for them to come to us for with anything, right? It's not about don't tell us a lie because you know what the consequences will be. But if something happened, like don't be afraid to come to us about things, trusting that we're not really necessarily going to get mad, and or if we do, it's very short lived. So yes, there are consequences for lying, but at the same time, we built a culture and a family environment such that they feel open to tell us the truth about stuff, no matter what.
But then the other side is the kids hold us to that. So if, let's say Mikey's done something and she comes to me, she's like, remember, Mom, remember, I'm coming to you with the truth.
Yeah.
So you can't get mad. And then I have to remember, you're right. Sure, like she did something or whatever. But the main thing is, and to focus and celebrate that she's coming to me without me finding out. Mm-hmm. And so that has really changed for us lately as they become teenagers, how important that is. So again, when we set this up, when Q was born, they were all little. So, for a while, there was no lying or even the lies weren't that bad. But as they're getting into teenagers, we're really grateful that our teenagers talk to us. And sometimes it's a really hard things to hear, but I'm glad they're coming to us. I'm glad they're saying that this happened or that they're struggling with this and they feel comfortable because again, this has been such a priority for us is this trust that they can come to us and there's never going to be a negative reaction to the truth. It's only when there's lying that it's just, that's very, that just it crosses lines that it's really hard to repair later, no matter what.
Yeah, because a lot of people, like a lot of kids are going to be afraid of opening up because they know that if they lie or if they admit to lying, there will be consequences. And that's the opposite. It's like, no, tell me the truth. There's not going to be any consequences if you do that. However, if you decide not to tell me, you will know that there will be consequences. And it might be consequences that you don't even think about. Like the cologne example is that you didn't see it coming, but it was a true consequence. They're like, oh shit, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. Right. So it's a hard-earned lesson, but in some ways it just becomes like part of how they operate as well. Right. Do you feel like, for example, like AJ now is a young adult, do you feel like she's carrying that over to her own life as an adult outside of the family unit?
Oh my God, we're so proud of her. Like, it's just, this morning she got up, she was here, staying here. She didn't have to work till later on, like in the day. So she was still here and she woke up before us. She had already meditated. She was doing her journaling. She's reading the Daily Stoic. It's her own copy. So she reads the Daily Stoic and she got her workout in. And we're just in awe of like, her practices. And she's like, Mom, because this is what we do. This is who we are.
The best part was that she had coffee made already.
And she already made her coffee.
Make coffee, so I was, oh my God, I love
the
this
coffee
kid.
culture is strong in our house right now.
I know that.
So it definitely does. It's just, it's so part of their DNA. Like when we were in Costa Rica, we all ran hills together. We all swung kettlebells together. We are in the moment where our family can do all of these things, that Chris had dreamed of at one point. And then we had even Chris was in on it on, family watercolor afternoon where we did watercolor paintings together because, this is what we do. We incorporate art into our life or, having philosophical discussions, having this journal prompt and talking. We've built these exercises in that the kids just see it as normal or gratitude, right? Gratitude journal. Yeah. So we see it. And I think it's just because it's such a habit because we instilled it. We did it every day, Chris and I together. And then slowly as they got older, shared our practices with them. And because we don't just say stuff to them, we're just not lip service. We actually do the work. So they see it. Like they see, when we try a practice, when we try a habit or we fail, and then we reevaluate why that failed. We are so transparent with the kids, even if they're little. We're like, I was supposed to work out today, but I didn't. But okay. And they're like, okay, Mom, try again tomorrow. I'm like, okay, I'll try again tomorrow, or I meet my strength goal or Chris meets his goal in something and we celebrate together and we tell the kids, look, we did 21 days of this, or look, we fasted for 10 days, Daddy and I, and they want to know why would you do that? And then we have these discussions. So it totally translates. But again, this is like, a decade of this now. We've done a decade of the work of being there with them, for them, seeing it and doing it with them and creating this culture together.
Yeah, you're consistent with it, right?
Hmm.
It's like you decide, you made the decision, and then you're like, like this is non-negotiable at this point.
Yeah, it's so
How?
exciting. Like AJ's starting her first business right now.
Tell me more.
I don't know if I'm allowed. I'm going to ask her first, Dave.
I
Maybe
can't.
for our
Okay.
next one.
No,
But
but I love it.
it's in the beginnings. But this is like, we've encouraged her, and she's like, she's ready. She's like going to do it. So it's very exciting.
But this is one thing that, and AJ has always been like, I remember her being, I don't know, like, in her teens. I think I met her when she was in her teens, and
Oh
she was
yeah.
always very mature for her age. And I remember, Chris, when she was actually running your email list for some time, like you were giving her an affiliate link, and she, like, all the sales that she would make from it, she would get a percentage or something. So that showed her like, hey, this is what daddy does. And like, do that. And here's how you make money. Right.
Yeah, I
And
had her run Facebook ads for me, and then retargeting campaigns and everything. And she was collecting the affiliate sales from. I was just like, "You're going to do it. I'm not doing it. So why don't you just take the affiliate commission? I'm getting the customer anyway." So I had her run all of that, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, and when she was traveling, she did it for a couple of businesses online, just so that she could have some pocket money while she was traveling. Like, it turned into a skill that she could just draw on when she needed the extra cash.
That's amazing. That's all. That's awesome. But see, like, that's the thing. I feel like you're at a point now where, like, you're going to see your kids are becoming adults, right? Like,
Yes.
because now, how is Joey now?
Joey is 17. She'll be 18 in
17.
May.
So she's next one, right?
Next one. Yeah.
Yep.
So, what's it, Chris?
Yeah, she's already making plans, man. She's it's funny because I see her and I see what she's looking at, and I can see what she wants to do. She's looking at going to Europe and design school and all this stuff. So it's a little piece of my heart breaks every day whenever I see that. But
I know, man. I'm going to say that often. It's going to be my turn soon. But
yeah,
not soon. Not soon. No, not soon. Not soon.
But it comes fast, my
comes
friend.
fast.
I know. But see, like that's the kind of thing. Like, you see see the lesson that consistency just generates long-lasting results all the time, right? And I think that's a big lesson from that. How often do you guys go through the family mission statement? Do you revisit or refresh it, or do you have a process to do that?
No, because it's as we go, right? As you're living and experiencing life, and you come to a decision, and normally, if it's something where it's like, oh, it doesn't really fit into what we do, but we haven't come across a decision that it hasn't been something that we still believe in. So we've just kind of kept to the same thing. I mean, we're not the musical family. Like, we have family friends that are the music family, right? They have play instruments. They love to appreciate music. That is just not who we are. Like, we have kids that like love to play piano and everything, but as a family culture, no, we don't have a lot of, no. We're not.
Don't you think bringing a flute to in this house,
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, we're not the Von Trapp family of singers. We're not going to have a band. Just like not all families like do kettlebell workouts together. Right? Not all families have these, different things that connect them in a certain way. Like coffee really brings us together. Like, Joey and AJ are becoming real connoisseurs of coffee just because they've been around it so much. So it's whatever your kids are absorbing. Hopefully it's like, positive habits or, different lifestyle things that will enhance their life. That's going to be part of your identity, and then, your family identity. So we just adopted, as we're getting older, we've said we're not training for, simply just to lose weight or anymore. It's really for longevity. So we still value physical fitness, but we just have a different goal now for Chris and I. And now the kids have different goals that they can work out with us. They can really, do their own training programs together. And that's kind of exciting to watch. So even though within the larger general themes of fitness, it's changed the goals, but we still keep to it. We still keep health and wellness as a big part. is a big part of it. And travel as well. I mean, I don't know how much we've traveled in the last 4 years. Canada, we've been to Panama,
Nicaragua,
Nicaragua, like, and then,
Barcelona,
yeah.
all throughout the city.
Anything
Anyway,
that
Yeah.
ends with you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, when we made that goal of travel, we didn't have money to travel.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have, like, it was 7 people to think about. And we're like, I don't know how we were going to travel, but we are going to make it a priority. And so what happens when you write it down as this is part of your mission statement, this is part of what our family does, you start to understand it takes, like, oh, okay, that means we're not going to spend money here. We're going to put it away here. We're going to be more, detailed with our planning. And, I'm so good at trying to figure out how to save money when we're traveling, right? Like, how do we stretch meals out for the kids? Like, how, where are the cheapest places to go? When is the free day at the museum in Barcelona that we can all go as a family? So it just changes that it can happen. A big family on a budget can travel. But, in the moment when Q was a baby, yeah, it was kind of like, I don't know how we're going to do this, but I really want to do it. And then now it's kind of come
Yeah,
true.
you have, but I feel like you had to simplify a lot of the things, right? You had to to get rid of a lot of things that were not serving you in your life to come back kind of to the essential and build it back from there.
Yeah, we sold our second car. Like, that was a big
Yep.
that was a big decision. Was we sold the second car because that was more of a priority of biking everywhere. Again,
Yep.
physical fitness, saving money on the insurance and car payments so that we can have money for travel. Yeah, it becomes so freeing when you have these parameters for your family
Yeah, we
that you're
did that
like,
too, Karen and I. Like we decided that's funny because we don't like we haven't stopped the said areas because we haven't had like we don't have a clear family mission statement yet. I feel, however, we've established all these things in our lives where there's kind of is one, but it's not official. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
right.
Yeah.
like the car is the perfect example. Like we have one car because we don't feel like we need 2 cars. Like we don't need 2 cars. Like we just need one car, and we just make play within these parameters.
Yeah.
Same thing with travels. It's like, okay, well now we're family of 4. Travel becomes is different. Here's how we're going to travel, and we do the same things with gifts too. We have. It's funny that you guys say that because we do the same thing. Like, we're like, no, there's not. That doesn't need to be that many crazy gifts. Like, there just need to be one. Last year, we brought like the gift was bringing him to Disneyland. Like, we're going to go to Florida, we're going to go to Disneyland, and this is and we're getting money, and everybody's chipping in. And this was the example that here's how you will have to do it. If you want something to happen in some ways, not because we can't bring you, but I don't want to show that it's just you know you're owed that.
Right.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
You're entitled to it.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. And yeah, we do that quite a bit too. That's all. We're definitely going to be. I'll get Corinne to listen to this episode back because there's a lot of things that, as it comes to the end of the year and new chapter in our lives, in a way where our oldest one is 7, but the youngest one now is not, I would say, a baby anymore. Even a toddler, she's almost a little girl now,
Right.
almost 3. That's going to be interesting to do. That's a good exercise. I love it, guys.
Well,
No wonder your kids are.
So it also, as they get older, the kids problems changes, and the kids they start to make choices for themselves. So then when you look at our value of trust, that we are a family that trusts each other, then when I have a child she wants to make a decision for herself, I have to trust, even though maybe I want to project some of me onto that. It's now we look at each other, Chris and I are like, okay, we got to have to trust her. Like, AJ wanted to come back here. We wanted to keep her in Costa Rica, but she's like, no, I want to go back there. I have stuff to do. And so, we trust her. We say, okay, you go for it. You do what you got to do. And we've always supported every decision she's making, even though she makes mistakes. We're like, it's okay. We're here as your safety net. What do you need to, And so that trust has transformed into that.
If you want to drill even deeper down into that, trusting AJ with her decisions is basically trusting us as parents and the decisions that we've made and the job that we've done as parents. So in trusting her, I guess essentially what we're doing is we're trusting us as parents, because we raised her and we raised her to make what we'd like to think is decisions. So when she wants to make that decision for herself and we say, no, you stay here, and we go against that, we're basically, the underlying message behind that is that we're not trusting ourselves in the job that we've done. So
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's true. It's like, who are you to your, because she's not, I would say she's her own, she's flying with, with her own wings now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And you have to trust that. Yeah. You have to, yeah. Who are you to your, so like, I always say that to people who micromanage too much. Like, who are you to your business?
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. Yeah.
Are you a babysitter? Right? Do you babysit your business?
Yeah.
Or are you a parent? Because a parent's only mission in life is to do enough of a good job so they can let their kids, by themselves and trust them to do the right decision. Right. And kind of the same thing. So many parallels, but yeah, we could look at it and break it down into like business processes, but that's pretty much the same.
Yeah,
like when it comes to building a business culture or family culture, it's very, very similar. It's just done in different ways, right? Yep. So it's just a different thing. That's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, this is I think for a lot of parents, for a lot of entrepreneurial parents who might struggle with all this or might try to find cohesion and unity with amidst all of the, I would say, chaotic or chaos that can arise from owning a business and raising kids. I think that's going to be there's some great pointers there that everybody can definitely implement.
Cool.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate it, guys. Well, I predict once again that Chris, our jobs are in danger.
Yeah, I think so, man.
That was great. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it. Rozanne, we'll definitely have you back again.
Thanks, Dave. It was fun.
Gold as usual. And thank you so much. Fly. Have a safe. You're flying soon, so have a safe flight.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
To you soon, guys. Love you guys.
Love you too, man.
Love you.
Chris and I had an episode about it where we said, like, it's important to say to our friends that we love them, but
it's true. It
is
so true. Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you, brother.
Okay, bye.
You have just listened to the Done by Noon podcast. If you are interested in hearing more, do not hesitate to subscribe to our channel. Click on the 5 stars or check out our free tools and trainings at donebynoonpodcast.com. Thanks again for listening and stay awesome. We'll see you next time.